What do you think of when you hear the word selling? Does it feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty? Well, you are in the right place. Hey y'all, I'm Kendrick Shope, creator of Authentic Selling, the #1 sales process for your business, which allows you to get more customers, make more money, and have the freedom to live the life you want to live. For tactical, practical, proven, strategic sales solutions that work for your business, ring the bell and subscribe. I have asked the question of business owners all over the globe, what comes up for you when you hear the word selling? Now, you do get the occasional outlier who's like, I love selling. This video is not for you. For those of you who have a visceral reaction to selling, like think it's pushy, it's a bully, that you have to become something you're not, or in the authentic selling world, icky, sleazy, slimy, gross. Those are the words that I have heard all across the globe, icky, sleazy, slimy, gross. And then to update it, we've added crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. Try saying that 3 times. Icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. I mean, that's fun, right? If it feels off to you, then I have fantastic news. You're doing it wrong. Said with so much love. You're not really doing it wrong. That's not fair. But selling doesn't have to feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. In fact, selling can feel like helping. But before we talk about how to turn selling into an act of helping, let's do a little history lesson. Now, I know history lessons may make you be like, no. But it's important to understand that the reasons that you dislike selling or the reasons that you may be afraid of selling probably have nothing to do with you. In other words, it's not yours to carry. So in the words of Frozen, let it go, let it go. Don't remember the worst, the best, the rest of that song. I am no Indina, but that's okay. We're going to let it go because selling gets a bad name. Kind of like Bon Jovi, you give love a bad name. Selling gets a bad name. The roots of the mistrust in selling actually go back generations and generations to when traveling medicine men would roll into town on their horse and they would have their elixir and they would tell the townspeople, I have got something that's going to make you feel 10 feet tall and bulletproof. It is going to make you feel hotter than you have ever felt before. It is going to cure all your aches and pains. You are going to feel incredible. It is a miracle solution. And you know what? That little bottle of elixir did do that for about a few hours. The traveling medicine man would get his or her money, usually they were men, and they would roll out of town, and the next day the townspeople would feel like death. Why? Because what was in that bottle of elixir was alcohol. And so people would drink and they would feel good and they 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. And they were flying high. But the next day, they were hungover. And being hungover is not how you want to spend your time, right? And so that is part of where the distrust of selling came from. Before you were born, before I was born. And those stories about don't trust the traveling salesman got passed down generationally. In other words, we have been warned not to trust salespeople. Now, you may have never heard your parents or an adult. Well, we're adults. Wow, we're adults, y'all. Let that sink in. Okay. You may have never heard someone you're learning from say, don't trust the traveling salesman because, again, it's a completely different thing to be a traveling salesperson today. But you have likely heard the terminology used car salesman, right? Don't want to be a used car salesman. And I always feel bad for used car salesmen when I hear that because it's like a few bad apples give the entire industry a bad name. But similar experience. You go in, you're going to buy a car, and this person, this bad apple, has got a car that's only been driven to church by the little old widow, and it's got 10,000 miles on it. And it's like that episode of Andy and Mayberry. The steering wheel goes out when you drive it. The thing goes, just stops. I mean, like they have sold you a lemon. And so again, our distrust of salespeople continues. Now, you couple that with everybody. Every human who has ever bought anything has had a rotten sales experience. As a sales experience that makes you feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross. That makes you want to like just grab your favorite loofah and wash it away. Whether you leave buying something you wish you hadn't bought and have buyer's remorse, whether you feel like you've been bullied or belittled, any of those things, is it any wonder that selling then feels icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty? Who wants to engage in an activity that feels like that? And who wants to engage in an activity that makes the other person feel that way? I don't know about you, but when people start using guilt on me to try to get me to buy something, I am like, bye, Felicia, I am done. Done, done, and done. Guilt is an amateur sales tool. In fairness, guilt is taught as a sales tool in corporate sales school, but it's not one you have to use. So, if selling feels icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty, now you know you don't have to carry all that, right? It's literally, that is not a word. It is literally in our body, in our DNA to distrust salespeople. We always think salespeople are looking to make a quick buck, looking to pull the wool over our eyes, but that doesn't have to be true, especially in the online world. So what is selling? If selling is not selling people a miracle cure and tricking them to buying alcohol, if selling is not selling you, the car that was driven to church only by the widow and has 10,000 miles on it, only for it to break down on you 24 hours later, what is selling? Well, if you Google the word selling, you're going to find a couple of definitions. But one of the definitions is the exchange of money for a product or service. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. The exchange of money for a product or service. There's no scam involved there. There's no pull the wool over people's eyes. There's no use guilt to get people to buy. There's nothing icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. It is literally just a business transaction. You have something that I need that could change my life, and I am going to pay you for it. The exchange of money for a product or service. So, selling at its core is not evil. It is people who use evil tactics that make it feel gross. But the fan-freaking-tastic news for you, beautiful soul, is you don't have to use those sales tactics. And contrary to what you've been told, you don't have to use those sales tactics to make money. I think lots of times people who are really just average salespeople but have had some luck selling something, using guilt, using those bullying techniques, tell you it has to be this way. I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Anytime someone says it has to be this way, it is my way or the highway if you want to achieve these results, it's time for you to tell them, bye, Felicia. You don't need that in your life. I was working out one time in Chicago and I had a trainer, and the trainer had me flipping tires. And I don't flip tires. I just don't. And so I was like, how can we, what part of the body does flipping tires work? And I don't remember what he said, but he told me. And I was like, how do we accomplish that same outcome without me being in the 100-degree heat flipping tires? Because I don't flip tires. It's the same kind of mentality. I also don't do burpees. Had a trainer one time in Arkansas tell me we're going to do burpees. I was like, no, we're not. I will do anything you tell me to do, but I draw the line at flipping tires and burpees. Kendrick doesn't do burpees. Joey from Friends doesn't share food. Kendrick doesn't flip tires and do burpees. Those are non-negotiables for me. So you need to have some non-negotiables for you around selling. You right here, right now, draw a line in the sand and tell yourself, promise yourself, set a boundary for yourself. I am not going to do things that feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. And know this, that there is still a way for you to sell just as much as those people who are being icky salespeople. Yes, you can be just as successful using authenticity, using sales tools that are altered so that you don't have to push people, so that you don't have to use guilt. So how do you know? Well, I'm going to give you a tool today It's called the Supremes tool. So think back to Diana Ross and the Supremes and their fabulous hair and their fabulous voices and, wait for it, their fabulous microphones. Anytime that you are sitting down to do a marketing or sales activity, if it starts to feel off in your body, if it starts to feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty, like a bully, I want you to stop in the name of authentic selling. If it starts to get icky, think it over and find a better way. You're going to cue your inner Diana Ross and the Supremes and stop. Do not continue. If it makes you want to vomit, then stop. If it feels like you're being a bully, stop. Think it over and ask yourself the same thing I asked my trainer. How can we accomplish this same outcome without doing something that feels icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty? How can I work these same muscles without flipping tires? How can I get this customer without using guilt? And if you don't know the answer to that, then ask yourself, how would I want to be approached in this situation? If I am the consumer, not the seller, if I'm the one purchasing, if I am the one on the other side of that exchange, what would I want to hear right now? Take it from me. As sure as my hair is red, selling should never feel icky, sleazy, slimy, gross. And that's exactly what we do here. We give you proven, tactical, practical, strategic sales tools that allow you to turn selling into helping, that allow you to get more customers, make more money, and create that freedom that we long to create when we start businesses like you and I start. So for more information and tips like that, ring the bell, ring that bell, ring that bell, so you never miss a tool that's going to save you from feeling icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. I believe in you and I believe in your business.